Well, I even had one next door neighbor. I guess she was the first one that took me to church. Not that I wouldn't have been taken to church otherwise, but she was the only girl.
Who?
Her name was Emma Wendland. Wendlandt.
Mm-hmm.
And she was 12 years older than I was. In other words, the parents bought our property our home was on from her parents. In fact, they were in the real estate business, and I think about the main investing that Dad was able to do. He was always just on a salary. You don't get rich on a salary, but you can prosper on a salary, I'm convinced. We always had, I would say, nice things in our home. We had a nice home. It's unbelievable what's happened now. That house has been declared historic. My parents lived in it almost 56 years. And then they moved here into a nursing home. And I looked after them. I was there every day until my mother died, from August to January. And sadly, my father, he wasn't very bad off, but he wasn't well off either. I'm talking about health-wise. He had another stroke after he came over here, and a year before he'd had a massive stroke that nearly took him, but they did keep him alive, and he got to where he was at home, and he still could do things. He had good sense, and he was still daddy as far as I was concerned, like he had been pretty much. He tried to help my mother. She had been very ill, and 4 years she'd been taking care of the grandmother because he got so tired of going there every day, and he was bound and determined to look after his mother too. And so naturally she would want to talk, and I know how, it gets something here when you sit here by yourself and maybe you didn't talk to anybody all day. Nobody called, nobody came. It hasn't bothered me too much yet, but, it's getting there. But several years ago when Annette asked me what I wanted them to do with the house, and I said, well, since I constructed the house, I said God gave me the plan. I drew the plan for the arrangement of the rooms and everything, and where the fireplace and this and that. I drew that all on graph paper between 12 and 3 in the morning, after looking at a lot of things. And I knew what I had down there, and I knew what furniture I had, and a good bit of it, I guess half of it had been in the family, almost half of it at least. And it created the doors, and since she did, I thought, she does not have a home of the sort that she would wish to have. In other words, when she was divorced the first time, they had a itsy-bitsy house. It was a very small house. And after she was divorced, it seemed that it wasn't. There were some influences in the neighborhood that weren't so good, and she moved into a different neighborhood a different part of town and bought a duplex and lived there with her daughters until she married again, and then since then has lived in a nice rock house that's built. It's just next to and I want to say something a lot of times it doesn't come, you know. This place that's north of Austin at Georgetown.
Sun City.
Sun City. We had, one of the girls had a boyfriend in high school whose parents ended up living in Sun City, Florida, Arizona.
Right.
Anyway, sometimes I think, I don't know why you have to just keep on talking on it. It just, things just go through my mind, you know.
Sure.
And my husband, first one, good man, you know, but I'll declare, I could not ever get him to discuss anything. No use in talking about it, you know. There's no use in talking about it. But I think I have a notion that he thought he might have been wrong at the end about that part. But he never interfered with anything I wanted to do, and I always was asking him. Some women have said, "What do you mean, let you?" When I said, "You know, my husband let me do this or that," well, why do you want to say that? You know? Well, you know, I wouldn't have done something that he was opposed to if I'd known he was opposed to it. Of course, I have my own ideas about what's wrong and right, you know, but I mean, for instance, not going to Germany in '89 just because I hadn't seen Braunfels on the first trip. It's hard to get there. You have to take this, you take a train, and then you have to take a bus, and then you're still 4 kilometers from where you're going. Whatever. Anyway, I didn't know anyone there at the first time, and I could have gone anywhere I wanted to on one 4-day weekend, and I went to Berlin to visit my relatives, you see, the ones I've been corresponding with since '47. By this time it was '64. But Margareta, you know, I would have liked to go and recognize. And I see, so when I was writing letters all the time to them. So I just told them I was going to Braunfels, you know. If I could, I'd come by to see some of the rest. And I had money from my father, so why should it bother my husband? You got any opinion on something like that?
I just try to keep the peace.
He didn't care. Of course, sometimes I thought, well, he doesn't care if I'm here or not, you know. But he never really made me sure of that. So
let's talk about if you had some advice for your great and great grandchildren.
I've handed them on. Tell them sometime about what my motherly grandmother said. You know, I shouldn't say it that way. They were both motherly, but mother's mother was with us so much more than the other one, than father's mother was. We saw both of them a lot because we went there. It's no such thing as